Welcome, wrestling fans. You got the show Bill Schuyler here at One Wrestling's Ring of Honor Ringside Report. Going to discuss the state of Ring of Honor and where it stands here Labor Day weekend in the United States. And it's not in good shape as far as this fan is concerned. Television product has been lackluster over the past 3 months or so, especially a little disappointing as when they received the Destination America slot. It looked to be that they were going to use this as a launching platform to take themselves to the next level, something that they failed to do and only wound up putting forth the same syndicated Sinclair show that goes on across the country as it is. So this doesn't really add many more eyeballs to your product, nor give the opportunity to enrich that product for newer fans and for bigger fans already out there in the market. It's no secret that Ring of Honor is losing talent, and talent is being courted by other promotions, most notably that being the WWE's NXT, also New Japan Pro Wrestling and the like. And this is slowly depleting their roster and leaving Ring of Honor in a bad case right now. And this happens as promotions go through. They have their ups and downs when it comes to talent leaving during contract negotiations. But what I think they could do to enrich that and to have made the talent perhaps stay and bring more talent in, as they have talent also out there waiting to get released from Total Nonstop Action, Impact Wrestling, as more and more individuals seem to be leaving that promotion almost weekly. They need to have a show on television, and whether it's Destination America, if they can, reconfigure their arrangement with them, or elsewhere, because it did show that people were out there willing to watch the product, which could only help Ring of Honor. What they need is to have a flagship show, one that is different from the syndicated show, much like pro wrestling back in the 80s and the 90s even were for WCW, for the WWE, where they had their main show and then they had their syndicated shows. With that, your go-to, you can't miss it, Destination America flagship show would have gave a much-needed shot in the arm for Ring of Honor in getting new fans and older fans brought back and interested in actually watching the product, bringing in money to the product by sponsors and getting more fans tuning in to pay-per-views and going to live events. Unfortunately, Sinclair seems to be just riding the wave, the status quo, and they're not taking it to that next level. And I just think that management there needs to really just stress home the fact that they could do this without costing a lot of money, and in turn bring in and fill the coffers up with a lot of ducats and get their talent over more nationally and worldwide. As an example, this week's show was only, alright, I'll run it down to you real quick. You had an opening match from Baltimore, Maryland. Adam Page with Colby Corino in his corner of the decade going up against Jay Briscoe. This actually was a decent match. Code of Honor was put out. Decade refused to shake hands and slap Briscoe in the face not once but twice, and then Jay Briscoe just stomped a mud hole in Colby's man there, Adam Page, and just beat him from one side of the ring to the next, outside the ring, suicide dive, beat him down, and then Colby Corino hit him with a crutch. B.J. Whitmer came in with a chair, which caused a disqualification. Adam Page then put Corino in the driver. Not Corino, he put Jay Briscoe in the driver, taking him down into a pile of chairs. Mark Briscoe would come out and chase off the Decade. And then your second match, we had, yet again, Cedric Alexander and Caprice Coleman, former tag partners of CNC Wrestle Factory, in a feud that's going nowhere and going nowhere fast. And it's also tied in with this Moose feud, which is not doing much for Moose. Moose is a major acquisition for this company, and they should be pushing him to the moon. Instead, they got him locked into this this meaningless feud with Cedric Alexander that's not doing much for their new superstar on the rise. And this match here was just the normal, typical thing that's been going on between these two. The wrench came back into effect with Veda Scott. Moose did come out, taking the wrench away and causing Cedric to in turn lose his match to his former tag team partner. And then Prince Nana, why they've brought Prince Nana back into it with the Embassy, which I know it's a long-term faction that's been in Ring of Honor, and it's also one that I've despised since its inception. Prince Nana and Ring of Honor, just in general, has some of the worst managers in the history of professional wrestling. They're very much come across as Bush League with these manager types. None of them there seem to do anything for me. I mean, that's my opinion. And Prince Nana is one of the worst. Truth Martini is liked by a lot of fans. I don't find him entertaining. He just really, it's something that they need to bring themselves up into 2015 and get a pop. If you're going to use managers and heaters, it's time to actually utilize them in the best way possible, or forget about them and just wrestle. One of the best wrestlers they have on the roster now, and one of the most entertaining feuds, is one Dalton Castle and the Boys going up against Silas Young. We had a great promo with Dalton Castle being one of the best guys in the company on the stick, and basically it's come down to Silas Young had put the challenge up that he wanted to face Dalton Castle, and if he won, that he would get the Boys and he would make them into real men. Well, Dalton Castle spun that on him and said that if he wants the match, that condition is fine, and then if Dalton Castle wins, when he wins, Silas Young would become one of the Boys and would be a great Ottoman for Dalton Castle. That will be tremendous no matter which way that plays out. It's going to be entertaining television, and they really need to push this guy, because Dalton Castle is someone that I see getting snatched up by NXT as soon as possible, unless they are able to sign him and give him a longer contract and make it worth his while to stay in Ring of Honor. We then had a ridiculous match that never should be on television. You got Cheeseburger going up against Brutal Bob Evans. Why? I don't know. It was a complete waste of time. It could have been used by any other people in the company to maintain and get ahead. Instead, you got two guys that are at the bottom of the roster and are not putting any butts in seats. And your main event, which of course is always going to be fantastic, you had Jay Lethal, the television and world champion, going up against Hansen from the War Machine for the TV title. Jay Lethal would come across victorious in this. It was a good match. Again, it was not fantastic, but it was good for what it was. And then it brought in Red Dragon coming up and getting into Jay Lethal's face, as both of them will be facing Jay Lethal in an upcoming pay-per-view that we'll be talking about a little later. So that was your whole hour of Ring of Honor. And in reality, you had 2 matches that were worth anything and 1 promo that made you interested. What they did not talk about is the pay-per-view that's upcoming. And they didn't really seem to push any of the other dates and things that they could do if they had a show that was not the typical run-of-the-mill syndicated show. You need something with some action, with some pizzazz, if you will. Light a fire under these guys and make it worth fans' time to watch the product, to be able to bring in new fans to watch the product. With that, I'm going to talk about the upcoming pay-per-view, which is going to be Ring of Honor's All-Star Extravaganza 7, coming from San Antonio, Texas on September 18th, 2015. Once again, WWE NXT striking against Ring of Honor as they did in New York with TakeOver Brooklyn. Not a takeover show, but NXT is traveling all across the Lone Star State in September as Ring of Honor is making their run into Texas. These are not mistakes on the part of NXT. You know darn well that this is strategic warfare against this promotion. One way or the other, someone is going to come out of this on top. And I don't see it being Ring of Honor. So what they need to do is to revamp their product, their image, and take it to that level that they had just a few years ago, where they had the best in the business from top to bottom and were strictly all about wrestling, wrestling, wrestling. Give up and do what you do better than nobody else, which is wrestle, and you're losing that to NXT. It's no mistake, no secret, I am a big fan of NXT wrestling, but I am also a huge fan of Ring of Honor and have been for many years, and I don't want to see them get whittled away to nothing and possibly being bought out or just caused to disappear, much like is happening with Impact Wrestling this year. But as we go into it, we have the world title. It will be on the line. Jay Lethal up against Red Dragon's Kyle O'Reilly. Then the Ring of Honor television title will also be on the line at the pay-per-view. Jay Lethal going up against Red Dragon's Bobby Fish. These 2 matches right here are enough to make me want to purchase this pay-per-view. These 2 matches here would carry the entire card. How this is going to work out for Jay Lethal, I don't know, but I cannot wait to see it. And that's something they should really be emphasizing on their television product. We then have a tag team title match, the Kingdom going up against the Addiction. I surely hope that the Addiction are the tag team champions of the world when they get out of this match. We have a best of 5 series, number 3, Matt Sydal against ACH. There's technical wrestling at its finest, high flying at its finest. This will be a match of the year candidate, I'm sure. Then you have a no DQ match, which is the clinker here, but I'm hoping that this winds up to be the end of it. It's Moose versus Cedric Alexander. Hopefully Moose will completely dominate and destroy Cedric Alexander and send him on his way. Then again, my expected highlight of the night is going to be the Silas Young versus Dalton Castle match for the boys on the line, where Silas Young services for Dalton Castle to the winner. This is going to be outstanding no matter which way it plays out. And then there's an open challenge match, the Briscoes versus a team to be announced. Now, it's my opinion that it's going to be one of two teams from the Bullet Club. It's either going to be the Young Bucks or possibly, that's right, the big boys in the Bullet Club, Doc Gallows and Machine Gun Carl Anderson. They and the Briscoes had some unbelievable heavy-duty matches earlier in the year, as did the Young Bucks with the Briscoes. Now, they do have appearances being listed, but no matches yet, that AJ Styles and the Young Bucks, Roddy Strong, New Japan's Watana, and Michael Elgin, along with Adam Cole and others to be announced, will be appearing on this pay-per-view. We have a couple weeks to go before this hits, so they really need to line up who and what's going to be finishing off this pay-per-view and get it out there so fans will purchase it. I mean, this is something that just boggles me with Ring of Honor and how they promote their pay-per-views and their product. I know they're all about DVD sales. They're all about getting you to come to the live events. And they have a hardcore base that goes to all the shows when they show up to their city, and they purchase the pay-per-views on a regular basis. But wouldn't it be nice, Ring of Honor, to be able to take it up and put yourselves into a higher bracket, making more money and being able to succeed in the industry instead of coasting along the line as you've been doing pretty much since Sinclair bought the company. I am not a huge supporter of Sinclair and how they are treating this company, and I just feel that there needs to be some restructuring done, and the people who work there really need to step up and enlighten Sinclair to what the company could be. Now, if that doesn't work out, I mean, and they want to do what they're doing, that's fine, and they want to be that baseline Ring of Honor product, and maybe they're afraid to take it to that next level. They're afraid to fail. I don't see them failing right now. You got the thing where Global Force Wrestling is coming in, but they're not even warmed up yet. TNA Wrestling on the way out the door in bad shape, where Ring of Honor is going to be head and shoulders above them for now, and they could really take it to be that second organization, the only organization in North America that's the realistic number two. I mean, there is no number two when it comes in comparisons to the WWE. They're the big dog in the yard. Nobody is going to beat them at this point at that level and be able to compete at that level. I mean, that's something that doesn't even need to be discussed. But again, like I said, Ring of Honor right now not in the best when it comes to television product, and pay-per-view wise, they usually always put on a great show. There's times where they have a couple duds here and there, but this upcoming ones, with the matches they have listed so far, sounds like an outstanding card. It's going to be a hot one there in San Antonio, Texas. That's a great wrestling city, and Ring of Honor putting it on the line there with all these great matches with Jay Lethal, the tag titles on the line, best of 5 series, the no DQ match, and the Silas Young Dalton Castle match. Not to mention the Briscoes going up against, in my opinion, one part of the Bullet Club or another. And plus, you got, like I said, you got AJ Styles, Roddy Strong, Michael Elgin, Adam Cole, and others to be announced coming into this pay-per-view. Again, the show for this week was not that great of a show, which I didn't even bother going into it that much because it was that disappointing. And right now, I don't know how much more can be said about Ring of Honor and where they are at this time and what they need to do to take it to that next level. So what I want, fans out there, if you would, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, follow us at One Wrestling. Follow me at You Got the Show on Twitter. Bill Apter at Apter One Wrestling, the icon, the man when it comes to pro wrestling. Bill Apter, speaking of him, has a book coming out. is Wrestling Fixed. I Didn't Know It Was Broken. You can get that at Amazon, at your favorite bookseller. An outstanding memoir from Bill Apter, one of the greatest photographers in the business, in the history of the business, and a guy that's done so much behind the scenes that you got to read this book to realize how influential Bill Apter has been in the wrestling industry. Shout outs to Andre Corbeil, Andre_Corbeil on Twitter, Big Ray at Big Ray's Show, the Can-Am Wrestling Show. That's the show that these two guys have been taking to the limit week in and week out. I do the Back in the Day segment at Can-Am. Follow my NXT news and reviews every week, talking about NXT wrestling and everything going on in the NXT universe. With that, again, I am the show. I will see you down the road.